Welcome people, this is Mr. Ndabezita once more, and I just wanted us to add something to the arrays that we have been looking at. So you always know that we rely on this programming language C#. So what I want us to look at this time is just how a certain type of an array can work. So let's just create a new project and dive into this and see exactly what is it that we want to achieve. Remember, the most important thing is to know or to understand what we are trying to achieve. So it is important that we keep this in our mind, that we are interacting with the console for a reason of trying to understand how things unfold. So let's just give the project a name, and we would call this project parameter array. It's a parameter array, that is the project name. It will be saved on the desktop, and then we just have to press next.NET 6.0 and it will immediately create the environment of work for us. All right. Now, what is important in what we are trying to achieve? Now, using the parameter array, we read, when you do not know how many arguments of the same data type. Very important. When you do not know how many arguments of the same data type, you might eventually send to a method. You can declare a parameter array, a local array declared within the method header by using the keyword params. Such a method accepts any number of arguments that are of the same type. Very, very important. So the params array can accept an unlimited number of values or strings or doubles of the same type, because we are dealing with first year, and then when we get to second year we will look at some other different types of arrays where we can mix doubles with strings and many things. But for now, because this is first year second semester work, we will be just looking at arrays that accept the same type, whether they are ints or doubles, but they have to be of the same type. So the params array can accept an unlimited number of values which are of the same type. So this is very important that we understand this. So the very first thing, if you remember, is to get rid of this. We always need the namespace, the class, and the method. For example, I cannot do this. I cannot say static. I cannot say static void main string string of arguments. Can I do this? Jesus. If I can do this, let me just do this and check. Let me just go here, and just say using system. Okay, and once I have said that, let me say using static system.console. Let me do this. Now let me come here and have a right line. I want to investigate something. Let me just do this. Control F5. Let me run this and see whether if I can do this without having the namespace and without even having the class. If it works, it's a bonus. I haven't tried this, so let's just do it and check. It's running. It's running. Sorry, but it's not displaying the values that we want. Why is that so? Control F5. Let's run once more. Unfortunately, it cannot do it. So we cannot do this. We need to have a namespace, we need to have a class, and then this. So that's fine. We can just come here and say the namespace. We can just come here and say the namespace is X, and I can do that. I can just take this one, come here and put it there. Okay, that's fine. Inside of the namespace I need to have a class, so I can have a class, and I can just call this class entry, and I can do this, enter. I can just do that. Okay, so I can just do this, and I can check my brackets and main and class and name space. And now let me just run this and see if things will unfold the way in which I want them. Oh, there it is. So it is important that we cannot just create the main. We need the namespace, we need the class in order for the compiler to compile our code. Okay, that's fine. That was just a test. Let me get rid of this. So the first thing that I'm going to do, because we're just going to use the main as the running our code, I'm just going to come here and I'm just going to add a new item, and the name of this class will be the params demo. So let's just say params demo. So this will be the name of the class. And then once we have the name of the class, and then we have went through the theory of what happens in a params array, now what I want us to do is to create a method. The very first thing, because you cannot come here, for example, and say string name equals z. So this is just a variable that I can declare inside of this class, but I don't want to do that. What I want to do is to create a method, and it will be public, it will be static, it will be void, no return type, and I will call this method the display strings. So the method will be public, and then remember it has to be declared inside of a class, so it will be public and it will be static, it will return void, and the name of the class will be display strings. So display strings. So it will accept some parameters, so it will accept an array of unlimited values of the same type. So it is a params, so there is the keyword params, and it will accept a string of an array, and I will call that the people. So it will be the names of the peoples. So this string, which is an array unlimited number of individuals as strings, will be I will give the name to that as the people. So it will accept, this method will accept an unlimited number of characters of the type string, and I will call that the people. So that will be the names of the individuals that it will accept. Right, okay, that is fine. And then immediately I want to have a for each loop that will loop in order to display the names of these individuals. So I will say for each, and then you must immediately make these brackets, and then the very first thing that you do inside of a for each loop, I don't want to say var as to that the for each loop will infer the type. No, I want to say string. This will be of type string, and these are the people. These will be let me say a person in the people. So what I'm saying is I am going to use the name person. It's a string. I'm accepting a string. I'm calling this person. Where will I find these individuals? They are in the people's params array. So this has to match with that. Very, very important that it matches. So that is why in the for each loop, if this argument is a string, you have to say for each string, give that a name, the person. Where are these persons that I have to display? They are in the people's params array of type string. Very important. Right, so therefore each loop is a quicker way of displaying the names of these individuals, because a for loop you have to say initially increment this, less or that. So therefore each loop is a more quicker way of just displaying the names of the individuals. All right, okay, that is fine. And then immediately after that, once I have this for each loop, I want to have a write statement just to display these people on the same line of code. So I will just have a write statement. Okay, let me just copy this. So let me just copy this line and just paste it there. Good. So let me just have a write statement, and in this write I just want to say at position 0, and then I just want to say, now do we say people or do we say person? No, we say the person. So the person knows exactly that it will go inside the people's array and display that. So you don't say people, you just say the person. Very good. It's like this is the object of the for each loop that will loop inside the people's array and display the person. So I'm using a write here. Let me have some space. So there is some spacing between the names of the people. Okay, that is fine. So the for each loop will loop inside of this params array and display these people in the same line of code with some spaces after the names of the individuals. Now once that is done, I want to go to the next line and just have a write line. I just want to have a write line and just have just a line there. This is all that I just want to do. I just want to have that line with these dashes. So this is exactly what the display string method would do. So now I want to go to the program. Now I need to check something very important. The namespaces, are they the same or not? If they are not the same, I have to import this one. So this one, the namespace is parameter array, and here the namespace is x, so I must import this. So we just copy this, and then we just come here and we say using, and then we just paste. Very good. So when I am inside of the main, the very first thing I want to do is to declare an array of the names of the individuals. So remember, they are of type string, so this will be string, and I will call this the names, and I will immediately assign them some values. So the first name that I have is Portia, and the second name, remember you use a comma. The second name I want to have is Zanele, and the third name it's Lucky, and the last name it's Makeba. So suppose these are just the 4 names that I need, and then remember you must terminate with a semicolon. So these are just the 4 names that I want. So I can assign as many names as possible. I can have 100, I can have 1,000,000. It will accept any number of names. It will. Okay, now that is fine. So once I have declared my array like this, now I want to invoke a method. I want to call the display strings methods. Now, because they are on the separate namespaces and different classes, if I want to refer to this one, I need to use the class name with a dot. So it's params demo. So I will just come here and just say params. There it is, params demo, and I will use the dot. Inside the params demo, I have this method which is called the display strings. Good. Now remember, the display strings accepts a params array of type string. Very important. So what is it that I am passing inside of this display strings? Okay, let me just pass in a name and say the name is Lerado. Remember, it accepts any number. It can accept 1 name, 2 names, 3 names. I can do that. I'm not passing this array, no, I'm just passing in a name, and it doesn't complain. Why? Because it's a params array. It is not initialized with any values. It's not restricted to, it has to accept 5 or 6. It will accept any. So a minimum of 1 is convenient. Now what I'm going to do secondly, I'm going to call again the display strings. So I'm going to say params demo dot display strings, and this time I want to assign some few names. Let me assign just 2 names and say, all right, Deborah and Okotle. These are the 2 names that I assign. Okay, and then lastly, now let me call the method once more, params demo dot display strings, and now I am passing in the names. I am now passing in this array inside there. So what do I know when I call this method? I call the display method. Here it is. The display method's work is to display the names of these peoples, and then once these names of the individuals have been displayed, it will do what now? After the first name, it will draw some line, these dashes, and then it will go to, remember it's a right line, it will go, there's new line here, so it will display the name of the person, and then it will go to a new line, and then it will display these dashes, go back again, display the name of the second person, and then go to a new line. In that new line it will make these dashes, and so on and so on. So what is going to happen here? I want us to look very close. I have called this method, but I am displaying only one name. So what is going to happen? According to this method, it will take that name, it will write the name of the person, go to a new line because I have this new line, and then it will print those dashes for this person. Good. It will go to this line for the second time, it will display Tebogo, some space, autocling, and then it will go to a new line, display those dashes, and then it will go to names, display those 4 names, and then go to a new line and display the dashes. This is how it should work. Let's run and check. Oh, unhandled exception. Input string was not in a correct format. Okay, params line 15. Let's check line params line 15. Params line 50. Okay, so in line 15 something is wrong. The input string was not in the correct format. So what might have been the problem then? Because it's not a 0, it's an O. I am sorry, I should have written a 0, not an O. Very important. So let's run this once more and check. Now it's fine. So look what has transpired. Right. Okay, let me go in this one so that you see exactly what is happening. So I call this method, it's Lerato, it will print Lerato, go to a new line and print the dashes. Good. And then it will go to this method, it will display Tebogo and Utlutleng with a space in between, because that's exactly how I have written my code, and then have the dashes. It will go to this next line of code, it will go to the names, there they are, print these names, and now make those dashes. That's exactly how the code works. Okay, that is fine. I will assume that we have understood what we have been doing. So let's go to something else. Now suppose, because one most important thing that we need to note is the following. We can create even a more flexible method by using a method header such as the display params object, and then we can assign the name things to that. Then the passed parameters could be any type, string, integers, or other classes, and so on. The method could be implemented. Alright, that is fine. So suppose we don't want to implement this method like this, because we know that any type is an object. Strings, doubles, and so on, they are all objects. This is very important. The most important thing that we should note is that all data types are objects. All data types, they are objects. This is very, very important that we note that all data types are objects. So because of that, we can come here. Let me do this. Let me do this. Please, let me show you something. Or I could have just commented this. Let me not change. Let me just leave it as it is. Let me just do this. Okay, terminate with a semicolon. So let me just do this. Let me come here. Right, so this method was internal, and I was able to call that method when I am inside here, because by default this class is internal. By default this one is internal, so there's no problem in calling this class on the main. So what I want us to do here is to create another method, but I'm going to use different names so that you see what I'm trying to do. So let me just say public. The method will be static, it will still be void. So I'm going to say display strings 2. So I'm just going to say display strings 2. Good. And now what I'm going to do here, I am going to say, okay, you are going to receive a params, but because any data type is an object, so I'm going to say object, but this object will be of type an array, and I'm going to call this things. Very important, right? Because any data type it's an object. Very good. Now I'm going to say for each. I'm just exactly doing the same thing that I did in the previous one, but just using different methods. Now in for each, now what is it that I am passing now? I am passing this object, so I'm going to say object. This is very important, object, and then I'm going to assign something like a variable of this object type. So I'm just going to use obj. Where are these objects found in? They are in the params array of name things. So I'm just going to press the tab there, and it will auto complete that for me. I think this step you understand from the previous one. So I have an object, and this object I'm giving that a name, it's obj. Where will you find these objects of strings? Because any data type is an object, you will find them inside of things. This one is pretty simple, it's just the same as what we did previously. So I can just copy these two lines, copy this and paste. And this method, sorry, it's not person this time, it's obj. Good. So this method will do exactly the same as that method. So let's just go and check if it will. So I will just come here. So please allow me to just comment this and comment that, and just come here. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go to inside of this class, params demo dot. So I know that I'm looking for this method. Right, now this method, remember, I'm just going to pass in names. So these two methods, let me first run this one so that we can see whether it will do exactly that. Control F5. And we have exactly that, Porsche, Zanele, Lucky, and Makeba, because any data type is an object. So please, I hope that you understand what is happening here. So it is a params array. They are, because it's a string, the strings are objects. So this object of type an array, I will call that things. So when you are inside of the for each loop, what is happening, you are saying the object, very important that you use the name object, you assign something like a variable of that object, obj. Where will I find this obj in? It is in things, very important. And then at position 0 I have these objects, just write them on the same line with some space. And then for the first one, write it if it is just a single name, and then after you have done that, just display the dashes on the next line of code. So this is exactly what is going to transpire there. So this is something very important that I wanted to share with you. Now that's fine, we have dealt with this. I will assume that we have both understood what the coding is all about. Now let me come here and create another class, new item, and I will call this, now I want to display these names with the borders. So it will display the border first, and then the names, and then the border again, and then it will go to the second name after some spaces, border, the name, and the border underneath. So let's see such a code how it will work. So let's call this one the border demo. So let's say border demo 1, and this is the name of my class. Now it creates this for us. We can just end class, and we can also end the name space. The spelling doesn't really matter that much. Okay, now that we are here inside of this class, and the namespaces are almost the same, it has already been imported in the program, in the main. So what I want us to do in this class is to first create a method that will do exactly what we want. So the method will be public, it will be static, it will return nothing, and I will call this display with the border. So let's just pause the video. Okay, sorry, we were disturbed by something. Okay, that's fine. So we are creating this class. This method, it's a public static void, and remember the name of the method would be display with border. So I'm just going to say display with border, and this method will accept a parameter of type string, and it will just accept a word. So there's a word that you type, and it has to display that word with borders. That's exactly what we are just trying to achieve here. So there are some few variables that I need to declare. The first one will be a constant. So it will be a constant, and it will be of type int, and it's extra stars. So let me just add extra 3 stars in this. So let me just say extra underscore stars, and assign it, because it is a constant, it requires a value immediately. Let's just have 3 more stars. Okay, that's fine. And then because I need another constant, I will just use a comma here, because it is also of, okay, sorry, no, they are not of the same type. The other one that I need is of type string. So I will have a constant, and it will be a string, and this one I will call a symbol, and I will assign it a value of the star. So it will just be a star. So these are the stars that I want. I can use the dashes, I can use the stars, I can use any symbol that I want. So my preference is just to use a star, because I said display with the border, and I have extra stars, so I am saying okay, the symbol should be a star. If maybe I said extra dash, then I would put a dash inside of that string. Okay, all right. And then what I want to do is to initialize the size, and so I'm going to have an int it's not a constant because it needs to be manipulated, it has to change. So I will call this the size. And how do I calculate the size? Now the size will be the word dot length. Now remember, the length of the word returns an integer. If maybe it's Zanele, it will display 6 because the length, the number of words that makes up the number of letters that makes up the word is 6. So word dot length, and then to that length I want to add, what is it that I want to add? I just want to add the extra stars. Extra stars. Very good. Right, that is fine. So this is how I calculate the size. So I say I have the size. This size is word dot length, whatever word that you type in, plus extra stars. So how many extra there are? 3 of them. Very important. So should I add 3? I think 3 it's too much, but that's fine. That is fine. Let's just leave it. Okay, and then again I want to declare a variable. Let me just call this variable x, and then from there I want to have a for loop. Now this for loop, I want you to start at x equals 0. Very good. And then I want you to take this x. If this x is less than the size, what is the size? The size is whatever that is declared. And then I want you to increment this x by 1. Good. And then once that has been done, I want to have a write statement. So inside there, just have, okay, I just have to come here. Let me just copy this and just paste it there. So I want to have a write statement, and in this write I just want you to output the symbol. So this is the first thing that I want. So let's explain what is going to happen here. I have calculated the size as that. Okay, so it will depend on the length of the word, whatever the word may be, and then it will add that here plus the extra stars. So maybe if the word it's 6, it will say 6 plus 3, and then it will give you 9. And then what it will do now, okay, I have a variable x begin at 0. So in that word, begin at position 0, the first letter of the word. And then if that letter, which is start at 0, if that word it's less, so because I'm starting at 0, I have to say less than the size. If I was starting at 1, I would have said less or equal. Right, so x equals 0, x is less than size, and then increment that by 1. And then for the first time it's 0, it's in the first letter of the word, and then it will display the symbol. It will display the symbol. So we are not displaying the name, the word, just the symbol. So it will keep on displaying these symbols dependent on the size. Very important. Okay, but you will see how this works. So just display the symbol, and then once you have done that, because it is a write statement, just go to the next line. So I can just have a write line, or if I don't want to have a write line, what I can do, I can just have a write line like this. Or if I don't want to do that, I can have a plus here and just have a new line. This and this might will do exactly the same thing. So it will display the symbol. No, this one is going to give us some problems. It is not going to do that, so let's just leave it. Once it has displayed the symbol, and then it will go to the next line of code. So once it has went to the next line, creating some space, I want to come here after this right line, and what is it that I want to do? I want to have another right line. So in this right line, what I want to do, I want to take the symbol, I want to take the symbol, I want to take the symbol plus, what is it that I want to add to the symbol? Some space plus, some space plus, and I'm using append symbol here. So I will just take the symbol. So what am I doing here? Right, I'm saying go to symbol, which is a star, plus some space plus some space plus and another symbol. So what I could have done here, I can just have a word plus. So let me say symbol plus some space plus the word plus some space and the symbol. So what am I saying? I'm saying, right, you have the symbol, and then once you have that symbol, which is a star, have some space, show me the word, not word.length, the actual word now. So it will print a star and the word that you have typed, and then it will create some space and it will display the symbol again, which is a star. So I'm separating the word on the left with a star and on the right with a star as well. This is exactly, and how many stars do I want to attribute here? It's just one star because symbol has only one star. I'm not using a loop here. Just one star, just one star, and the word. Very important. Then after that has been done, go to a for loop. I have another for loop where I say x still equals to 0. X will be less than the size, and I will increment that by 1. Right, and then now I will have a write statement, and I will just display the symbol. Very good. And then once the symbol has been displayed, now I want to have a write line. And what will the write line do? It will just create 2 lines of space. So let us try to check what is really going to happen here. Now the first for loop, what does it do? Okay, it will loop inside the size, which is the word.length plus extra stars. What it will do, it will just display the symbol, and I know depending on the word, maybe if the word is 6, it will say 6 plus 3 and display the symbol. It will display those stars. How many of them? 9 of them. If the word dot length is 6, we add 3 to that, it's 9. That's the first thing that it will do. It's a write statement. Once it has done that, it will create a line. Because I have a write line, it will go to the next line of code. Right, okay, that's fine. In the next line of code, it now comes across a write line. What it will do, it will take the symbol, which is a star. It will show the star, space, it will show the word, space, and the star once again. So it will keep on doing that as long as the size of the first word it's less than x. It will do that for the first word, right? So it will show that word here. That's the first thing, that's the first word. All right, Okay, and then once that it is done, it will go to this for loop, x equals 0, x less than size plus plus x. Now when we are here, the first thing that we are saying display the symbol. So it will display the symbol once again, very important. It will show the symbol once again. What is the symbol? It's the star, depending on the word size. Okay, it will show the symbol, those symbols, how many of them, as many as they could be, and then it will keep on doing that for every word that you type. This is exactly what it will do. So let's go to this program and invoke this method and see exactly what is happening there. So the name is border demo1 dot. I have a method display with the border there, and remember it accepts a string word. So let's take the word, for example, and say the word okay, let's not invoke this method first. Now when we are inside of the main, let's okay, it's fine, let's invoke the method. That's fine. Let's just invoke that method and call in. Let's pass in a value, and let's say the name is Kamo. Good. And let's call in the method once again. Right, let's change the names. Let's say it's Atlehang, and let's say another name is Bokang. Now let's run this and see exactly what is going to happen. Look what is happening, guys. Look what is happening. And what I want to do is to go here. Right, now let's check what is happening here. Let me just do this. The first thing that is happening here, it displays how many. The name, it's Kamo, and Kamo has 4, so it will add 3 to that, and the symbol will now, let's check. Remember the right, we have a symbol, and the symbol is a star, and the word, the size of the word, it's Kamo, it's 4. It will take that 4, add extra stars, which is 3, it will be 7, and it will have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. This is fine. This is the first thing that it will do based on this loop, this for loop. It will do that. Then it will go to the next line of code because we have a right line. Then it will come to this line. In this line, it will take the symbol, which is 1 star, there it is, and some space, there it is, and it will take the word. What is the word? The word, it's Kamo, and it will create some space and it will put in a symbol there. There it is. Very important. Now, what is going to happen? It comes to this line of code. There's a for loop once again, And what are we doing? We are displaying the symbol based on the size. So the 7, there will be 7 underneath. So the first for loop takes care of the stars on top. The second for loop takes care of the stars underneath the word. This is exactly what is happening. And this line creates 2 spaces. The first space, the second space. Very, very important. And then you invoke the method once again with a different name. The first thing it will do, it will take care of the stars at the hang and make those stars do the very same thing. So I assume that you have understood what is happening here, because that's exactly what is happening here. So that was just the display with a border demo that we have looked at, and it is very, very important that we try by all means to understand exactly what is happening there. So I don't know whether we should continue with this, trying to look at the different methods that we can invoke and all that, but I think I'm happy, I'm more than satisfied. There are many ways in which we can use to achieve the very same functionality. So I think for this tutorial we are done. I pretty much think that we are done. So let's just break it here. And I will see you in the next tutorial.